Oh, sure.
This is blocking me. How do I make this not block me?
All right, here we go. We are going on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And now, the most trusted name in radio, serving the Treasure Coast for over 30 years, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.
Look, I'm looking at you.
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, we are very honored to have Lance Lunceford in here today. How you doing, Lance?
Hey, good to see you, Rhett. How are
Good
you,
to see you. Now we have a surprise for you that we're officially giving you a title. You are now going to henceforth be known as Mr. Vero.
All right then, I'll have to duke it out with Mayor Catugno for that one.
Mr. Vero, forget about him. He's going to be long gone soon. Mr. Vero, that's you, the ultimate, the quintessential local political guy.
I'll take it. Why not?
Why not?
All right.
So you're very well spoken. Your dad was the Prevost over at the Prevost, right over at the college.
Yes, yeah, Casey
And for
Lunceford.
years, and he would come on my show. Now retired.
Yep.
So you people that work for the government, that's smart. They get to retire. You know, guys like me, I got to keep working.
Exactly.
You know. But it's good to see you,
Yep.
and you seem to dip your finger into everything. I saw you recently speaking at your church. It was a Baptist church.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I know you. I see you frequently opening up meetings and stuff online for the Taxpayers Association. Are you still the pres over there? Or?
Yes, actually, grateful last December to have been reelected to a second term by the board, as well as with my colleagues Heather Jordan, Doug DeMuth, Keith Jackman, Brad Newman, all the officers we got
Jordan,
reelected.
is that what's his name's wife?
No. You're thinking of Jordan Stewart. So Heather Jordan is the new vice president. You're thinking of my predecessor, Jordan Stewart, who was the past president. Great man, great figure in our community.
So now, is that a paid position or?
No. The Taxpayer Association, we don't take a dime for what we
Volunteer.
do. We all have work. We all have jobs. Some members of the board are retired. I gotta say, very successful group of people all around. We got a former federal cabinet member on our board. We got 3 former Fortune 500 executives, a couple local business owners, several people who are just preeminent professionals across the community. It's a great mix, and we've expanded the board over the past couple of years. It's an honor to be a part of that association.
I should join up again. Come on over there. And are you still meeting at the golf club?
We're at the Vero Beach Yacht Club right around the corner.
Oh, you moved over there now.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. So we first Friday of every month, and
First Friday of every month.
and you're always welcome, and anyone listening is always welcome as well. Our meetings are open to the public.
Okay, what is the purpose of the Indian River County Taxpayers Association? Who do you represent? I presume it's nonpartisan.
It is nonpartisan. You're absolutely correct. We do not endorse candidates. It is an election year. We don't get involved in political races. Our attitude, Rhett, is that we will work with whoever the voters send us. So our goal as an association is to make sure that this region, as I said in my annual address, we are stewards of this county. We want to make sure that this place that you and I both live in, that we love dearly, remains a crown jewel of our country. So we want minimal taxes, we want the lowest possible tax burden, we want a high quality life, and we want the governments to be efficient in delivering the essential services they need to do.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Everybody I know is upset that on every street corner, and of course, I have to admit that there was a guy who I was on the air already for 10 years, and this guy started one of those businesses. In 10 short years, he sold it for $10 million. I still have to work for a living. He's been retired for 7 years already. This is 7 years ago.
Sure.
And that is the storage business. We got one opening up on every street corner. Now they're out. I thought they put a moratorium on those. Did they not?
You know, I'm not familiar whether they did, but actually, I'll tell you, I serve on the Economic Development Council for the county. In another hat, I'm fortunate enough to be chair of that. Anyone who wants to do anything in our county with regard to business, we certainly don't want to turn away any entrepreneurs. But to your point, we got a lot of storage businesses around the area. I think definitely we want to make sure that the industries we're targeting are more what you and I want to see here.
I keep thinking it was too late. I was too late before all these new ones were there.
Right.
And I should have ran to the bank, borrowed some money,
Right.
because you don't have to fix the toilets.
Sure.
You don't have to fix the sink. You don't have to fix the plumbing. There's electricity, air conditioning, and there's just these units that you rent over and over. And I guess there must be a statistic if you're an entrepreneur. Do you have a storage unit, or does your father?
You know what's funny? Believe it or not, with all the storage units in town, I can't think of anyone I know in my immediate vicinity that has used a storage unit. So it's kind of funny to hear that.
I tell you what.
I'm sure people do.
I tell you what. Let's get the bell out here.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but
Someone has a
my
bell.
wife has one, so that means I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You're contributing. Well, listen, you're contributing to the local economy. What can I say?
Yeah.
What can I say? No, listen. I think. Again, I don't want to disparage the storage unit owners, and certainly if we want to work with all business owners in our area, we want to make sure they have what they need.
But these monoliths that they're building, it's like they look like they're 10 stories high, and they have the glass on the sides to show the doors.
Yeah.
It's like they have an advertisement without having to be qualified to have an advertisement.
Well, and look, the industries, I think we have to make sure that what comes to our county kind of fits our quality of life. We don't want to see the kind of overdevelopment we see in other parts of the country. So
okay, well, that's what I'm worried about too.
Yeah.
Well, what about all of these apartment dwellings that are going up, and they look like the crap you see up near Toronto, Canada? Have you ever been up there? There's a difference in money building.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They usually don't have any workmanship around the windows. It's as tight as it can, cheapest materials. Then some really god awful weird colors, baby blue and purple, and what are they doing? Yeah. But we need apartments. But they're going up everywhere.
Rhett, everyone always talks about affordability, and I think the way you solve affordability is through the economy, right? You want to make sure that there's good paying jobs here.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that the industries you're bringing in are growing. That way, the people who are working in our community can not only afford to live here, but thrive because their wages are going to go up because the industry they're working in is productive and going up. But the problem is it's a balancing act, right? Because if we bring in the wrong type of industry, we can bring in all the industry we want, but we don't want to change the quality of life that we have here. So it's a balancing act for sure. I think when it comes to housing, what we got to do is I think there's certain cases where public-private partnerships are beneficial for teachers or firefighters or cops. But when you talk about the broader population, we got to make sure that the people here have jobs and have the workforce development opportunities to be in these industries that are growing. And ultimately, that's our responsibility to make sure that we're making good decisions in leadership for that.
How old are you?
26.
26. So you're a pretty young guy.
Mm-hmm.
Was it because of your father that? Wouldn't you agree? I mean, do you know from an outside looking in, you have an accelerated growth and maturity as far as politics and stuff? So was it your father's presence at the provost at the college? What gave you an appetite for local politics so young? Because I've known you how many years? At least 5 years now.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
you were a kid when you jumped into all this.
That's a good way of looking at it.
For an old guy like me, you still are a kid.
I probably still am. No, definitely. I gotta tell you, I won the genetic lottery when it came to my parents. I mean, I have the best parents ever, and my dad was a great leader across the community. Many folks know him. Got to tell you, even better dad, right? Even better dad than he was community leader. As great of a community leader as he is and was.
You should bring him in with you sometime. I'd like to say hi to him.
Yeah, happy to do that. No, he would probably love to see you again.
I'd like to know what he does.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
I was talking to my producer,
sure.
Doolin Dalton today, and I was saying,
yeah,
if I didn't, COVID really hurt us financially. Yeah. That's okay. So I'm still working at my age.
Yeah,
and if I want to live to the standard that I want, I have to continue to work.
Sure,
I'm thankful I have to work. I tell you, come summertime and I'm up in Vermont, I have to do my show up there. I zoom in on Wednesdays and Fridays because having some purpose. Mm-hmm. So I wonder what is your dad doing with his time? Is he?
Yeah. So the joke is that he spent 1 week retired. He because the week after he retired from Indian River State College, he started and he's still the executive director of the formerly Gifford Youth Orchestra, but it's now the Gifford Academy for the Performing Arts. They changed the name to GAPA. I believe they're now over 100 kids in the program. They're starting they've undergone a capital campaign and to actually have a permanent home. Right now, the school district is gracious enough to have them hosted at different schools. They're going to get a permanent home They're starting the process of
Now,
building
is it
that.
strictly for black kids, or is it black and white, or is it for impoverished kids?
No. I mean,
I mean, when you think of
yeah.
Gifford, you do think of an impoverished state, you know.
Well, Gifford is such a vibrant community, and I gotta say, I've gotten to know a lot of the leaders out in Gifford, and from the Taxpayer Association side.
Yeah.
Very amazing people, great community out there. I want to make that very clear. Dad is a part of that community through the Gifford Academy for the Performing Arts, and I got to tell you, I've seen kids from all walks of life, all parts of the county there, but certainly there's a heritage and a love of Gifford. But I definitely think that'd be something for you to talk to him about, for sure.
Well, I was a high school dropout, and then I never had a father because he was killed in a car accident day for my 5th birthday. So those things I've had to learn the long way. But I have learned this: for 10 years, I was the MC at the Red, White, and Blue concerts at the Vero Beach High School.
Yes.
Okay.
I was the band. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, you did? You one of the kids?
I was the band captain. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, what did you play? What's your instrument?
The best instrument, trombone.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Hey, pretty good job. Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what I noticed about you kids that I learned? First of all, there's no I in team.
Yeah.
And I could see the other kids, no matter what they were, even to the top violinist, they would all help bring in the chairs for all the group, the orchestra.
We call that crew, band crew. Yep, band crew. Fun
They were
times.
also
fun times.
giving.
Yep.
There was a humility. Nobody acted like they were the star because it was the group as a whole to star. And so that, so what I'm getting at here is it's a great discipline to learn an instrument. You may never play it again in your life, but in your youth, by learning that discipline, it swells over into other areas of your life. Would you agree? And you learn being a member of that. It's a teamwork. So those young people, so they're doing that in Gifford. Your father doing that in Gifford with these kids. That's going to change lives. The fruition of that. We may not see it in our lifetime, but it's there.
No, I agree, and I just have to say that community is. I've gotten to know it in different capacities. You know, I serve with a gentleman on the Economic Development Council who represents the Gifford community. As a Taxpayer Association president, I've had a chance to work with so many of those leaders out there. So Dad can tell you more about it, certainly, but just it is a thriving, it is a gracious, it's a loving community, and quite honestly, a very soulful and a very Christian community. It's really great to see what they're doing out there in Gifford. And with Dad's Gifford Youth Academy, you know, he would be the first to say it's not his. He's the executive director. He is a steward. He does a great job leading that organization. But kind of getting back to me and kind of what we were talking about before, and because it kind of is all encapsulated. This is a special community we have here, whether it's Vero Beach, Gifford, Sebastian, Fellsmere, Orchid Island, Indian River Shores, the rest of the Barrier Island. You know, we have a really special culture here in Indian River County. People are neighborly. We were talking right beforehand. People here are neighborly. There's a pioneering spirit. There's a hard-working ethic. There's a respect for private discretion. You're not trying to embarrass people, in you know, especially in politics. I think something really good that we have here that I've observed and I've tried to lead by example on this is you don't mouth off in public. You settle things privately. You know, you're transparent to the public. You let the public know what you're working on, but you don't need to hash it out. And you see so many national politicians. They're so nasty to each other. They're so uncivilized. And so I think what we're doing here in Indian River County is the way to go.
So do you think your generation can we've seen a lot of bickering going on.
Yeah.
And of course, Trump was the perfect person to initiate this. He didn't start the fire, but he did really.
Right.
But I mean, here you've got a guy who's maybe almost an idiot savant. He's a
Interesting.
genius at business. I was saying 10 years before he got elected,
Yeah.
America needed a CEO. But at the same time, you know, I interviewed General Colin Powell.
Right.
I liked him a lot. We spent a half an hour together, intimate, just he and I. I told him, and I've never done this before, and I have not done it after, so I've never done it because he didn't run. I said, if you run for the presidency, I will stand on the street corner, you know, advocating you. And he didn't run because his wife had psychiatric care and didn't want her raked over the coals by the damn media. So we lost we lost the first great black president we could have possibly had. But, so I like General Colin. The day after he dies, Trump's saying nasty stuff about, what are you doing? He does all this good, and then of course you're gonna have black young ladies that think he's prejudiced. He's not. He's hired more black people and everything. He's very giving. I don't know why these things pop out of his mouth, you know, at the most inopportune times. I mean, you think, oh, he's going to win the election. I remember the first time he ran, I go, oh no, what he said last night. Oh no, oh God, he's lost it. How he managed, what his he must be. He's not 10 steps ahead of us. He must be 20 steps. Maybe that's a formula.
Yeah.
Because it keeps him in the press, and people. Maybe the familiarity. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what was I getting at here? I don't even remember
Well,
why I started this.
I can jump in if you don't mind.
Please.
I think, every president across history has their strengths and weaknesses. And I think whether or not a president becomes super successful, kind of like a Reagan figure or a Lincoln figure, it's dependent on whether they play to their strengths and if they have people around them who can either amplify those strengths, but also maybe minimize some of their weaknesses. What I think history is going to be the judge of both President Trump, President Biden, President Obama. I think we're also quick to say, well, this went well, this didn't go well. I really think we got to give it some time. But I think the one thing that's really characteristic of President Trump is that if you think of how he got to where he got in real estate, it's a cutthroat business. It's about negotiating.
And his father did not give it to him, as some people think.
Well, and also $1 million in New York is like a penny in
Trump
most parts of the
change.
country, right? Exactly. So again, it's important to be context. But I look at it this way. That's all about negotiation. It's all about being tough. It's all about being firm. I think people talk about the tariffs right now. I see this as a strategy from the president to shake up the current order of things to potentially, in his head, get a better deal. Now, time will tell whether that's fruitful or whether that's not fruitful. But I think people often are quick to sort of say, well, this week this happened, so therefore I'm going to make my opinion known. I think we got to give a lot of things time. And I'm going to say the same thing about President Obama. I did not agree with much of what President Obama did when he was president, but again, you have to judge these things in the context and in history. You can't just say this happened this year. You have to really wait 10 years, 20 years to see the long-term effects.
Well,
of
the
these
guy that
policies.
wrote All the President's Men. He was over here speaking at Riverside.
Who?
Yeah, Bernstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I'm there live.
Yeah.
And at that time, Obama had said, to the prince, the king of Syria, or the president of Syria, said, if you step over this line again and use poison against women and children, there's going to be consequences. He did it. There was no consequence. So Obama was weak, and he set up on the stage All the President's Men, who's a liberal guy, said, well, we don't understand it. Sometimes people just shut down. Well, we don't need somebody who shuts down in a position of leadership. And so one good thing about Trump is at least he gets stuff done, He's a mover and a shaker. I don't. If we should survive as a species, I predict right now, give it 8 years, 10 years, there will be a flood of books, all trying to figure out this guy Donald Trump. I mean, he's just he's a wild, loose cannon. I mean, like if I said to you, I'll talk to your dad about getting me a doctorate, an honorary doctorate. I've been on the radio 31 years. I've interviewed all the top historians. I've interviewed the U.S. presidents. I've interviewed all the Secretary of States. All these people have been on my show, and I met with them face to face. A lot of them, don't I deserve something? And so if I say that, and then it happens, well, I initiated it. That's not a real award. A real award is when you're sitting around shut up and somebody else thinks this guy should be. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. Like he's pushing for all these. He wants to be remembered in the worst way, and I understand. Obama got the Peace War. What's a Nobel Peace Prize?
Right.
In 6 months in office, he did absolutely nothing. Took us into more wars than any president in history. Okay, he didn't deserve it. Now Trump comes along. At least he's got some semblance of peace with Israel. He's trying to work with Russia, and he's done some other stuff. And it's like he really thought he had a Nobel Peace Prize. It's like,
well, this speaks to a larger point, and I don't want to hold President Trump against give him an unfair standard. I think just in general, there's a sense in national politics where you there's a pressure to act counter to humility, and I don't even think a lot of these individuals lack humility. I think just the media ecosystem is really what feeds this desire to be on TV, or this desire to be out there, or this desire to sort of say things that are provocative, whether you actually believe it or not. And what I try to focus on here, again, the Taxpayer Association, bring it back locally, or not locally, regionally, because we look at the whole region. We're not just Vero Beach. We're we look at Vero, Sebastian, Fellsmere, the whole county. We focus on what's good governing policy. What's actually going to improve people's lives. What's going to make the tax burden lower. We have so many issues: economic development, workforce development, early learning, childcare. One of my board members is actually looking at how to make the permitting process more efficient. at the county. These are real things that are going to result in people's life getting improved.
When you've got a sandwich shop over on 17th, it's a family. They inherited. I'm making this up. Okay. I'm not making this up. They truly have a sandwich shop. I don't know where they got their money from, but let's just say they inherited $400,000 from Uncle Bill.
Sure.
So they got the money, they got the equipment, and the feet are dragged for 2 years before they can open. I think that there should be a caseworker. You work down at the city. Yeah. I want to open up an ice cream stand right here. What do I have to do to get it done? Well, you only have one bathroom. Are you allowed to have? What's a small square might get away with just one bathroom? Yeah. I don't know that new store next door, Tossed. They only have one bathroom. I don't know. But anyway, so what do I have to jump through the hoops? Because you get people saying, so I think what you should do is you should have a caseworker. Billy Bob, you're going to be the caseworker for Rhett Palmer. He's going to open up a new ice cream stand. Now, get him going here. We believe that you should have him up and running within 6.5 months, maybe 7 months max.
Right.
After 7 months, we withhold your salary until you get him. He's a man that has a family. He has 17 young kids. He needs to be up and running with his ice cream shop. It's got to go through. Enough of this. They just lollygog around and slothful because they get their paycheck even though they're not earning it. No. There should be a caseworker. You got to get this done. And it's unfair. Otherwise, what power? If there's no consequence, what power do we have?
Well, and I have to share a little bit of this. So this has been one of the biggest issues that we've dealt with in the association. I got to tell you, Rhett, we have gotten more people calling us about permitting inefficiency than we have about taxes. But I do want to share a couple things to be fair.
Okay.
On the Economic Development Council, the primary department we work with is the Planning and Development Services Department. Those people are really on it. The challenge is when you have a permit in for the county, it has to get approved not just by one department, but it has to go around all these various departments. So here's the challenge. You get one department efficient, that's great. If another department is lacking efficiency, that's where the hurdle comes.
Everybody up.
But I do have to tell you, there has been improvement in the building department. Is it where I want to see it? No, not yet. The planning department, I got to tell you, in my opinion, those guys are on it. Those guys and gals are on it. I've heard some challenge with Public Works at the moment, but regardless.
What does Public Works mean?
So Public Works is the part of the county that deals with a lot of, like think road and bridge, or think when you're building a new building, it's one of the departments that has to sign off on if you're going to build something or do something. Right. I share this, Rhett, because again, but here's the thing. A lot of people would kind of come out and say, well, this is bad, this is good. We want to really work with everyone and make the process more efficient and improve things. And I got to tell you, I'm going to call a spade a spade. It was much worse a couple of years ago. Is it where we want to see now? No, but there is progress. I want to make that clear. But this is by far the most important issue that we're going to be focusing on over the next year.
Well, I remember
for the Taxpayer
I
Association.
remember Chuck Hannon years ago had built a new bar, and he was going to hire 3 new employees.
Exactly. Yeah.
And some goofy guy from the food department comes in and says, "Oh, you've got your toaster wire is touching the counter.
Yeah.
They're going to fine you." He said, "Well, that's okay. I don't care that I built the bar.
Yep.
I'm not going to hire those 3 people. I'm going to pay the penalties for those things, and I'm not going to hire 3 people. Could have had jobs, salaries, paid taxes to the community.
Exactly.
It's just like down the street now. Don Proctor is my personal friend, biggest builder. Right, he's done hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, he's the biggest builder in town. Down the street here now, we have dinners once in a while together, and he said, "Rhett, I was mad at him because it doesn't have any retail on Royal Palm Point."
Right.
He said, "Rhett, it was in my plans to have 3 restaurants and then a shoe store and this kind of a store, ladies' shoe store and stuff. It would have been great for shopping, going around with your parasol on Sundays and people shopping and having picnics out there with picnic tables." And he said one guy stood in the way over in the city.
Well, and let's think about it. Let's compound this, right?
He doesn't even live here anymore, and now we don't have it. Now Royal Palm Point is a scary place to go to at night. It's dark,
right? It's
quiet, and when I lived right across the street here, we wouldn't go at night walking there.
Well, and Rhett, let's compound this because I think the issue is even more severe than we're talking about. Let's say that right now we fixed everything and it was 100% perfect in this moment going forward.
Okay.
Just the reputational damage of the past when things weren't going well, it adds to a reputation that our county isn't a place to do business.
Because I've thought about opening a retail. Right. You know what I think?
Yeah.
Not in this county.
Well, and here's the thing.
I'm not going to sit around for 2 years.
So one of the first things I really want to do is make sure that we get the word out that Indian River County is open for business. It's a new day.
How about a caseworkers?
Well, and that's one of the things I believe that has been implemented over the past 2 years.
Caseworkers?
Yes, but here's the challenge. It has to be across all the departments. See, I think the challenge right now I see it is you kind of play whack-a-mole. One department gets more efficient. You kind of have to depend on the other departments.
Well, then you give the
caseworker
caseworker the authority to what's the word when you get a mark? A grade. To grade,
grade things.
the things. And I tell you what, if number 3 over here, who's in charge of electricity, keeps failing and he gets enough wrong grades, you're going to lose your job.
Well,
there has to be consequence.
And guess what? Here's another cool idea. So Jeff Bezos was in Miami at the Miami Economic Club.
Yeah,
and
you went to it?
He was. Yeah, I was there. He was.
Did you get to meet him?
No. I was in the crowd. But he was there with the mayor of Miami, and it was really cool. I was with one of my friends down in Miami, who's a founder, great guy. So we were in the crowd. He was with the mayor of Miami, and the mayor of Miami actually kind of chuckled about this. Bezos had a point. He said, in this day and age with artificial intelligence, the work of reviewing permits can be done almost instantaneously because what you're doing is you're basically taking a set of codes and seeing if this specific application meets it. Now, whether it can be done instantaneously is a matter for discussion, but I really think artificial intelligence is a great way and opportunity by which to make these permits much more efficient.
The only negative of that is, I agree,
yeah.
But even the Bible says the letter of the law causeth death. The spirit of the law causeth life. All of a sudden, if AI goes, no, so, you have instance,
you have to have a human. You have to
like
have a
I wish we had a
yeah.
mayor here that had power. Because in the old days, you could have the council, but you could find, let's say, Mayor Lunceford. Okay, Lunceford, that's your last name, right?
Yes,
Lance
yes,
Lunceford.
yes.
And you'd make a great mayor. And you go, hey, and then you can override or push the buttons and say, hey, this has got to get done, or, we need, and you take out the human element because sometimes things wouldn't get done, houses wouldn't get sold. Not that we should do illegal things, but we have to be pliable, flexible. Not everything fits into the same box. Mm-hmm. So there has to be the human element, but at the same time there needs to be accountability.
So what I would say is kind of a hybrid where you have the tool of AI, but again, a human being has to review and do the work and make sure that.
Don't you love it?
It's good.
Did you get the IA for the Bible yet?
I'm sorry?
There's a Bible app you can get now that's AI. It's an artificial intelligence with the Bible.
That's interesting.
I forget the name of it. I'm going to get it. I might have it on my phone. I'll tell you when we get done here. I was just at an all men's meeting at a church this morning.
Wow.
And a lot of the guys have this.
Sure.
And it's pretty amazing. And AI already has influenced, our magazine. It's influenced my show. It's influenced dreams that I have.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm agreeing with you. Go for it, Mike.
No, I mean, I don't know where this is all going to take us. A lot of people are scared for losing their jobs.
It's such a multifaceted challenge. I look at it this way: in 1776, in The Wealth of Nations, there's one of the backgrounds to that by Adam Smith was that there was in England there was a concern that a new type of sail, like a new type of sail mast, and I may be using my terms correctly, but a new type of sail, basically, new shape, was gonna make all the old people who were working in the previous type of sails like obsolete, right? Because a new sail for ships,
how to work it,
exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
There's a fear about
this
the world
ending.
ending.
Story, right?
Yes, it was a fear of the world ending. I'm not doing a good job articulating it, but you get the gist of it. So I look at artificial intelligence. Yes, there's going to be disruption, but there's going to be more jobs created. But here's the thing we got to think about. This is why I'm so passionate about workforce development. We have to have programs in our country, whether they're private companies, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's a bit of the government being involved in this. We have to have programs that are going to take people who are in one occupation, and if AI makes their current job go away, we got to be able to support those people and get them trained into the new type of jobs, because we don't want to look, I'm sorry, I don't want to leave all these people behind just because of artificial intelligence is a great tool. I think if you're a person who's put in a good days of honest days work for 40 years,
the Bible says a man shall not eat if he does not work.
Exactly.
And you feel good about eating what you earned this week. On Friday night, you had a steak. I earned it.
Exactly. But again, I don't want to. I do understand this concern where it's like, hey, listen, these people have been working in their jobs honestly, ethically, doing a great job for 40 years. This technology comes along. We have to have the ability as a country to say that person did a great job. Let's train them in a new occupation.
But the progressives want to take the easy and say, we're going to give a basic $25,000 income to every family in America, and you don't have to work anymore.
And let's go further, because what they'll say is, well, it's super hard. These people don't want to. that's on us, and to design the workforce development programs to be so seamless and so inefficient that it is easy for those folks to participate in. So
People will fight you tooth and nail. Now look, you're a
yeah.
conservative guy. Okay, I'm a conservative guy. So I like FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Interesting. Okay,
and I can tell you this.
Tell me.
You don't know it yet. Would you ask your dad, ask some of his friends, ask some of the old people that I know, ask me. Social Security helps older people. A lot of people live on their Social Security.
Correct.
Now, if FDR was alive now, we didn't have Social Security. And he came along and was like, I say, you damn communists, what are you doing here? You're socialization, you're going to ruin America. Thank God he got Social Security through. The only thing is you got the culprits down there who go into the fund and steal the damn money.
Yes. Well, and that's the challenge of the federal government just overspending all of our money. I mean, there's
have no idea.
Here's the thing. There's that old expression. There's two things that are eternal in life: death and taxes. I think it's three: death, taxes, and overspending. Right? I mean, I think probably in the last 40 years, there was, I think, 2 or 3 years of balanced budgets and it was in the late 1990s with I believe it was President Clinton and Speaker of the House. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. He's a great guy. We know him from Georgia. I'm blanking.
Johnson?
No, Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House now. Tip O'Neill?
No. The Republican Newt Gingrich. How did I forget Newt Gingrich?
He's been on my show.
Everyone's going to torch me on live for forgetting. No, but Newt Gingrich, Bill Clinton
Smart
working
guy.
together to make sure that there was a balanced budget. I mean, that's how you do it. And then, unfortunately, I think we're so used to running deficits this year, or in this day and age. That's just something that DC does. They'll overspend money. And to be honest, it's not a particular party's fault. Both parties do it. Now, I think our party does it for better reasons to support national defense. Certainly, I'm not going to lie, that's a better reason than supporting some random new social program that isn't really backed by evidence. But both parties do it. Both parties are culpable, and ultimately, we got to get our national debt in order and our budget back to being balanced.
Well, what about people having privileged information who are in the government and they've been able to make investments and make themselves, $100 million?
You mean stock trading?
Yeah.
That's
what it says in our Constitution. There shall be no law.
Yeah. Oh.
Right. That the people have that they don't have there.
Yeah. Well, and I look at it this way, again, if
we're in the house,
at the very least, if let's say you're good at trading, you're good at investments, and you're not actually doing it, you should at least be able to have a show and track that what you're doing. There's a requirement now that kind of allows them to do that. Says, well, within 30 days of making a trade, you have to disclose it. But again, that's a whole month. No one's really going to pay attention. So I look at it like if you're going to trade, you should at least log it in the moment and have that be publicly disclosed if you're going to do something like that. Now, that would be tough. Don't get me wrong.
So others can be alerted?
Exactly. That way people can see it. Because right now the requirement is 30 days.
But it's wrong.
I'm agreeing with you. I look at it like there's a perception. Because look, let's say some members of Congress have an index fund and they just put their money in there in a blind trust and we're actually just doing the job, didn't do anything. Those folks get lumped in because their net worth is going up from the index fund with all the people who are making trades and kind of purchasing it. So I look at it like you got to standardize everything. You got to make it fair. You can't. You shouldn't be using your office to enrich yourself. That's just not what you do.
What about this little girl? This Omar. What is her name? Who came from? She's a congresswoman, I think. She has a pretty face, but she wears the thing on her hair, and she's a congresswoman. She's in the news every night. Omar, isn't her name? Omar.
Oh, yes, yes, I know. Who
Somalian.
Yes. Okay.
And she supposedly was worth less than $500,000, 5 years ago. Now she's worth $30 million.
See, that's the kind of stories you hate.
I want to know this.
I hate those kind of things.
Now, we don't have a press anymore. Because if we had a press, we'd have what Teddy Roosevelt called a muckraker. By the way, did you watch the Teddy Roosevelt documentary that came out a few months ago?
No, really? What happened?
You want to see it? I think it's PBS or whatever. Oh, my word.
That's
or maybe
cool.
It was that other guy. What's his name? He did the Civil War and all stuff.
Yeah. Ken Burns.
Yeah, Ken Burns.
He's great.
I don't know. I think he may have done it, but oh, my word.
So I have to share.
What a great man.
You'll love this. Ken Burns actually gave my commencement speech at university. He was the commencement speaker. So when I graduated at Wharton, he was the
You graduated
speaker.
Wharton?
Yeah, he was the speaker in 2022 for the whole university. So UPenn commencement. That was fun. He gave a great speech. He's a great speaker. Great advice. But yes, I've had a chance to sample some of his documentaries. He's Absolutely
There's
brilliant.
a guy west of town. He went
Ken
to
Burns.
school with Donald Trump's kids at Wharton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so and that's a good school you were at.
Yes, it was very,
Then
very rigorous.
I
very
won't
good.
go into details, but he began a liquor business, right? And he sold. He's only like 40 years of age.
Yeah.
He sold the business. Billion.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. No, we learn how to do it.
Oh my word.
No, it's a great place, especially if you want to learn about so all of what people talk about with stocks and equities and all that, that's the public stock market. These are big companies that are traded. Sometimes they're small companies, but again, like even then, small is usually at the very least over $100 million, and actually way more at this point in age. I'm thinking about when I went to school. Most business in America is business like yours. It's private. It's the private markets, and so that's where you really get into private equity, venture capital. I focus more on that. I think it's more interesting because again, when you're negotiating a deal, the process of due diligence in the private markets, you actually get a lot more information than you get on the public markets. People think people think, I'll tell you why, because people think that if you go onto Fidelity or if you go onto your Ameritrade, if you go on your stocks, you'll see all this information when you type in a random company, Microsoft. Yeah. You'll see all this information and you think to yourself, wow, there's a lot of information. And you'll see the financial statements, you'll see the SEC forms, but a lot of the ratings you see that looks like data points are all, in a sense, summaries of analysts or other people's opinions or news of the company. You're not seeing like the day-to-day what's happening. You're not necessarily seeing you're seeing part of the audited financials with the SEC, but again, those are yearly forms. When you're trying to buy a business like a private business, the due diligence process, you get a lot more information because naturally, if I wanted to buy something, if this was your business, if you owned Rhett's Bell companies and I owned Lance's Bell Acquirers, right? I'm going to want to know every single thing about your business before we handshake. We can even agree on a price, but that's contingent upon me and my team doing my due diligence on your business. And so I think that you learn a lot more than you would. Now you have to know what you're asking for when you do due diligence. It's important, but it's much more, I think, in depth and much more interesting to me at least.
Let me ask this. I'm very curious about this Lance Lunceford guy. He seems to have. You seem to be almost like a prodigy. I mean, you're ahead of your time.
Not at all.
Well, I met you when you were younger, and I've always thought you're very knowledgeable. Sure. You seem to have your feet firmly on the ground. So I would like to know because. What would you paint me a picture? We're going to give you a blank canvas.
Okay, yeah.
Was the best thing that could happen to Lance Lunceford? What does it look like? And don't be specific. Like it doesn't have to be a specific kind of, but like I would own a corporation. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to be married. I'm going to have 17 children.
If my future wife ever listens to this, she's not going to appreciate you saying that. 17 is a bit much. Okay, well, we'll do that.
You know what's causing that, honey?
No, okay, I'll tell you what it is. Because this is what motivates me. And I'll do politics, I'll do personal.
Yeah.
I don't even look at it politics. I want a country where every American is empowered and able to pursue their dreams. Now, I'm being very specific in that. I don't want a country where there's guaranteed outcomes, right? I want people to work. I want people to strive. But I think a country where every American has the opportunity to achieve their dreams and pursue it, that's what we're all about. And I think we're kind of in this state as Americans where we feel this kind of myopia, this sort of like we're stuck in this rut. And so that's one thing. The image, exactly. The image is a nation where someone born in America has a 100% chance of being able to pursue the dreams that they can independently define for themselves. I think that's what makes us better than all of our competitors. I think that's really where I want us to get to. Personally, I had a lot of respect for Elon Musk when he was building SpaceX and Tesla. Yeah. I definitely want to build a lot of cool technologies. I'd love to work on building a light speed engine. We're not at the point of the society where we can do that yet, but I really think like later in my life, to be able to have enough wealth and be able to invest and fund some of those projects is really what I'm going for. The reason I went to the reason I went to Wharton actually was because I've always been interested in like astrophysics and science. That's really my first love in life more than all this.
So that's your first love.
Well, and I'll say this, politics, again, I don't really view it as politics. I kind of view politics, quote unquote, as a chore. What I do in the community is really because I want to make sure that what we have here is special and remains. I want to see good policy, and I feel an obligation as a citizen to do as much as I can for the people I serve. So that's where that comes from. But in terms of personal life, I just enjoy that creative exploration of glory and knowledge. I want to know as much as I can before I die. I want to learn as much as I can, and I think a part of that is also learning as much as what you can, getting law as much as you can, so you can give back as much as you learn, as you know. and give back as much as you can later in
Okay,
life.
and that's a great overview. I want to ask you this: Do you want to visit up there more often? For instance,
Visit
I was
up
out in
where?
California. I was at the winery for Fess
Yeah.
Parker years ago. I'm interviewing him,
Sure.
and there's a young man there, and he's a photographer. I said, "Would you mind taking?" Before we had phones. Okay. Would you take a picture? He took a picture. Then he contacts me maybe 6 months or a year later and says, Can you get? I live in California. I would like to fly in and see one of the spaceships go up there."
Sure.
And he says, could you get me a press pass?
Sure.
Which I'm glad he asked for. So I inquired about the press pass. Well, I got him one. I got me one, and
Sure.
a couple other people. And we went up and we got the closest seats you possibly can get. It was a wonderful night. Okay. So it's been 23, 24 years. I got a phone call 2 months ago. "Hey, Rhett Palmer, do you remember me? I'm a photographer, and you got me my press pass." "Oh, yeah." He says, "Because of you, I ended up working for Elon Musk up there."
Because you got the press pass.
Yeah, it all led to that. Now, so
Yeah.
what I'm saying is I know somebody else there. I won't say who,
Yeah.
but now he's been in a PR for somebody who's in politics and is in government right now as a politician, a successful politician. Now, his PR person guy recently left him.
Yeah.
They have a new girl taking care of it, and now he's the PR guy. He's working with top PR people up there at NASA. So I was just thinking, if you want me to, I'll introduce you to him, and you can get an invite up there.
Well, and first of all, absolutely appreciate that, Rhett. I always love meeting people. You know, I'm familiar with some folks. I mean, like you, I know. So likewise, if there's any way I can ever,
You
ever
may not
help.
need my help. Yeah.
No. What I was saying the exact
That's
opposite.
okay.
No, I was saying the exact opposite too. Of like, if there's everything I can do for you in that regard, happy to do so. So I
The
really
only thing you
appreciate
could
that.
do for me
Yeah.
is get me to Trump so I can interview Trump.
Okay, I'll
That's
keep
what
that
I
in mind. I'll
want.
keep that in mind. No, I was thanking you. I wasn't. You know, I was saying like if there's anything I can do for you, I appreciate that.
I mean,
But,
I got somebody in town here,
Yeah.
and he's a priest, not a priest, a pastor,
Yeah.
and his daughter works for the lady who is the #1 consultant to Trump on spiritual matters.
Oh wow, wonderful.
So far, my feelings are hurt that he hasn't offered to really, ask that
gosh.
daughter.
Gosh.
And
gosh.
do you do that and whatever, and then maybe some, I've been doing this 31 years, and really all the context of all the presidents and all the politicians and the movie stars and stuff I've gotten, no one's ever come through for me with an interview. It's been me going out and trotting and having to break down because,
Well, yeah.
people don't want to use their coin for you,
Well, and also in life,
Like
you
there's the
you
guy, the
gotta
black
hustle.
singer in town here, Whitley Phipps. He's friends with Oprah. But she's been in town. And he promised me he'd introduce me. We're the same age, and she's like phenomenal. She's, I've always loved her. I don't love all her politics, but I love Oprah. And, and he still hasn't come through for me. So people tend to, well, you can understand. I got this one coin. I'm connected with Oprah. Am I going to use it on you? I met you, Rhett, but you're not my closest friend or anything. So
Well,
I can understand why people don't, but
Well, in life you gotta, and you know this, you gotta hustle, you gotta do it. You
gotta do
You can't.
so.
You never count on. Well, I don't want to say that. You can never. The way to look at life is you can't count on other people coming through for you. But I think you get a lot more out of life if you are always the person who comes through for others.
people are luck. Well, I know Debbie Maycomb, New York Times bestseller. She gave me the greatest compliment of my life. She says, you're a connector.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun to connect people, and you don't have to get in the middle of it. Now, the smart guys, I remember the richest guy in the world when I was a kid. He was on TV, and they said, "What do you do?" He says, "I don't own any factories. I don't own anything. I put this guy together with you, but the deal is I'll put you together, but I want 10% of the deal."
Right.
So these guys make $100 million each, and you get your check that comes in cha-ching because you made the introduction.
Well, and that's the other thing I would share. Owning things and having an ownership stake is really. That's how you build wealth. I mean, you don't build even if you have a huge amount of income. The way to I would argue even if it's dividend income, because again, even dividend income is taxed at the ordinary as ordinary income. The way to really get to that point in life is exactly you own something. And so that gentleman you're talking about, he owned 10% of something versus getting a substantial paycheck from those folks for connecting them, right? I mean, that's how you get that. That's really how you build long-term wealth. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not Robert Kiyosaki here, or is that the guy who does the?
Right now, I've been offered a substantial amount of money for some .com sites I have, .net, .com, and .org.
Sure.
And so I thought, well, instead of you giving me all this big money up front, I said I would rather maybe I could have 1% of your income till I die, and upon the day of my death, I give up my 1% or whatever. But in the meantime, because I'm an old guy now. I'm worried about having enough income. I mean, I didn't work for the government, so I got to make these other deals.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's a good point too. Once you what we see in America is that as a prototypical individual gets older, their aggressive investing style goes down. So that's why there's a lot of demand in the investing markets for debt securities, because again, debt that is especially to corporations is generally more reliable than risky securities. So essentially it's guaranteed income. So that's why as you get older, your financial advisor is probably going to advise a random person. Again, not financial advice. Important disclaimer. That financial planner is probably going to advise someone to shift their portfolio towards being more risk averse and more stable.
Well, you're a great politician because you answered me without answering me. What would you like to do for a living?
No, but you didn't ask that. You asked.
Okay, I'm asking you now.
Paint a picture.
I made a picture. That's why. Okay, now I want
owning technology companies long term. That's what I want to do.
Owning a technology company.
Yeah. But your first, and I'm not gonna. I agree with that. Your first question, I'm gonna explain my reason. Your first question was paint a picture. So the picture I want for America is a country where every American is able to achieve their dreams, and I want to do what Elon Musk is doing not in the sense of owning and building all these really cool technologies. Now, the other stuff he's involved in sometimes, certainly don't want to.
But I know people that know him. You know what his work ethic is?
What?
He never sleeps. He'll fall asleep in a chair, get back up. He's at it again.
Well, and again, I don't want to cast a stone. There's some questionable things he's done on the moral side of things. But again, I leave that. I
know nothing about that.
And I don't either. So
I know
leave that
nothing. Did you ever watch Colonel Klink on TV?
No. But I just share that because again,
too young.
The way I look at it is I think about what I want to work on and what I want to accomplish. If you apply yourself and you work more than other people and you put your head to the ground, value will come, and from value, money will come. So I think that's the equation that you want to focus on in life. You want to figure out how you can create the most value for other people.
I love the internet. I love everything that's going down. I love e-commerce. Yeah. But every time we move ahead, there's always someone who's a thief that finds out a way to make it not as much fun.
And those people, if you think of it, how crafty they are. If they applied that same right to something legitimate, they'd be probably very successful. Exactly.
I ran into a guy in jail years ago. My girlfriend then used to edit films and stuff. Well, there was a special class in upstate New York, in Albany, the capital, and you could take it. It was at night, and it was for the prisoners. But if you knew about it, they'd have to let you in as a common working person. So she got in. So I'm talking to this guy. I said, why do you do all this stuff? He's a brilliant guy. I said, if he went into legitimate business, right?
Yeah.
And he said, it's the thrill of getting away with it.
Yeah, there's people like that, and
there's some very, very intelligent thieves out there,
and they enjoy getting around the system.
Remember Murph the Surf? Murph the Surf was this guy that stole gems.
Right.
Now he was right in the studio. He's now deceased, but he stole millions of dollars of gems and stuff. Well, he got converted to Jesus, so that all changed. I guess he was in prison, and he got really radically born again, and was working tirelessly for Jesus Christ till the day he died. After that happened. But anyway, I don't know what point I was trying to make. That's the only problem about being older. You go down a rabbit hole, and you go, okay, I used to be able to climb back out.
Right. I like that. That's a good way of looking.
Right. I wonder what it's like for you. So I just, I marvel at you, though. You seem to get your hand, and you get your hand in a lot of things, and you're helpful,
It's, to be blunt, I want to reiterate this, because with taxpayers' position, and honestly, even with EDC, with everything.
What's EDC?
The brief we spoke earlier, the Economic Development Council.
Yes.
All these
what
things.
What are you doing with them?
It's the organ of our county government that that advises the county commission on economic development policy. So it's 23 members, all publicly appointed at one point by the commission. So my point was just saying, whether it's taxpayers, again, sharing things is really about how you can best serve the people.
You need to learn this too, to say, I don't want to comment on that, okay? Right. So I'm going to bring up something that you can say, I don't want to comment on that.
Okay.
But you've got officers of the law who put their lives on the line every day.
Yes.
In these other counties, I know what their incomes are.
Yep.
And they're $10,000, $15,000 less here. We know our sheriff was fighting for that money, and we know that guy, the commissioner guy there, whatever his name is, the Italian guy from New York, what's his name? One of the commissioners. But anyway, he kept stopping anything from happening with Eric Flowers. like he had a personal vendetta or something against him. What do you think about that? I mean, shouldn't have the commission said, okay, here you can have that extra money, and to pay your deputies better?
So not only I'm going to take your thing a step further, I actually can't comment on that, but for a
Good.
reason.
Why?
But here's why: because the association each year is very involved in building the budget. I've had many conversations with Sheriff Flowers. I've had conversations with not only actually at this point all the commissioners on last year's budget. I'll share what I've shared publicly. Again, I mean, I was on another program saying this. The association on that issue really wants there to be a negotiated solution. The reason we didn't weigh in on the sheriff budget last year was because the moment we knew that it was going to be appealed to the governor, we then had to make a decision and say, okay, is our association going to spend the time and energy going to Tallahassee, whether we're on the sheriff side, whether we're on the commission side, versus spend time here on issues that really are important to the taxpayers
You need
here?
to stay laser focused on what you do.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So again, I don't disparage it. It's an important topic for sure.
So, by the way, did that get I don't keep up with the news anymore. Did that get resolved at all?
Well, the budget was enacted back in September. That's the enacted budget, which is what with the portion of the enacted budget that is the sheriff budget. The sheriff has appealed the process. To my knowledge, the administrative commission at the state has not convened to discuss.
Well,
that topic.
for he put himself in the firing line, Eric, for this whole thing. I mean, anybody else who really didn't. Well, tough luck to these deputies, except he was losing deputies for going out of the county to another county. But so he really seems to have cared. I mean, his salary wouldn't be affected. He's doing well, right? And so anyway, but let's move on to something else. What can we move on to?
Your program.
Let's talk about that economic group you're involved with.
Sure.
So they oversee the money that goes to the commissioners?
No. So the purpose of the Economic Development Council is to provide direction and advice to the Board of County Commissioners on all of Indian River County activities, with a focus, of course, on economic development. So what it is 17 private sector folks serve on that council. I'm one of the private sector appointees. There's 3 community members at large. I'm one of the 3 community members at large. There's different representatives from various industries, and then 6 members of the council represent
Doesn't
the
that
city
take a lot of
councils.
time out of your schedule?
Oh no, we meet once the regular meetings are once every 2 months, and if there's a special,
Non-paid.
oh yeah, none of us. Again, we all do this because we serve. Yeah, we're citizens, exactly. So again, appointed by the commission,
thank
but we
you for
advise
your
the
service.
commission. Well, I appreciate that, and my colleagues, I'm sure, appreciate that too. A lot of work
All of
went
them.
into this economic development strategic action plan, and again, it's a sunshine committee, so I can talk about what we've done. I can't talk about upcoming votes because I don't want to give. I can't give my opinion on how I'm going to vote on an upcoming matter, but I can talk about what we've done, and it's certainly been a lot. The group has really the group really deserves a lot of praise for what it did last year and what it's doing this year. They're doing a lot of great work.
Okay, now I really appreciate you coming over.
No,
I'm sure
anytime.
you got other things too. We're getting close to noon.
Yes.
So I probably should say toodaloo for now. But is there anything that you would have thought, any subject you would like me to have broached that we didn't, that you would like to talk about?
Great question. I can share. How do we keep? This isn't a question for you. This is just an important topic. The most important topic right now is how do we keep Indian River County special while adapting to and evolving to all the pressure from the wider world. We can't just sit back and pretend like the world doesn't exist. We can't pretend like they're wearing a cocoon. We have to grab the world. We have to engage the world, but we have to do it on our terms, and we have to make sure that we don't lose our character while doing so, but also bringing opportunities here for the people who are working here. That's how I look at it.
God so loved the world that he didn't send a committee. You like that? Now, what's that little area down at 17th Street Bridge there with the power?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with them going back and forth for years, they had a guy down from Miami. I don't know if they paid him $80,000, whatever they paid him. He had a good idea. There was going to be a chapel there, a little chapel. People could get married. They may be going to have a hotel, or maybe just have, And now it's like this one contests this, and it's like.
Are you talking about 3 corners?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
You kind of, that's why God so loved the world that he didn't send a committee, because a camel is a horse created by committee. Think about that.
That's
Look.
an interesting way. There's a very and it's funny because again, we spoke so much about like life outside of politics. I don't want to give the impression that politics is like what I think about in my spare time. But there was a very well regarded elected official who I won't share their name, who said to me once, they served at one point on the county commission, and he shared with me, he said, Lance, you accomplish so much more outside the commission meetings than you do in the commission meetings. And what he meant was not like there's games. What he meant was speaking to people, working with people, getting like actually going and saying, how can we get this done? That's always more effective than sort of just sitting with a group of people and debating something for 10 hours. Now, you need to deliberate on important things. You absolutely have to do that. I'm not saying people should just go and do their own thing and not work with their colleagues. I think you have to do that. But at the end of the day, the job of a committee effectively is to deliberate and make a wise decision. But in terms of getting the thing done and implementing it, you really want to make sure you're delegating and empowering to the right person, so that person just does it and isn't really encumbered by any bureaucracy. That's really the key.
Let me ask you this. So, I'm on WCNO now, 89.9 FM. It's 100,000 watts.
Oh, wow.
Christian FM out here is 50,000 watts. We're 100,000 watts.
Sure.
They reach the young people here in town. This station goes up and down the coast and reaches a lot of adults.
Sure.
I'd like to have you on at some time, but I'm not supposed to do politics on there.
Sure.
So you might consider this, and it might not be right for you. You're a young guy, but I did see you speak recently online, and you were at the local Baptist church.
Yes, First Baptist. I love
so
First Baptist.
I don't know if you have enough to talk with, so I want you to think about this, and we can confer and talk in the future.
Sure.
But for those shows, they overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony.
Sure.
So what I do is, the blood of the Lamb, and then our testimonies. Jesus said, if you confess me before man, one day I'll confess you before my Father. If you deny me before man, one day I'll deny you before my Father. And so, like I said, you're a 26-year-old kid to me. You may not really have been, but then again, you might be very opinionated about things that are in the news or the way things are being interpreted. Young males throughout America, the first time ever, young males are coming to churches and coming to know the Lord than ever. Are you aware of that? It's really cool. Look into it. And so think about maybe if you wanted to give a testimony sometime on, where you brought up, was it perfunctory? Was it your duty to believe in Jesus? Or was there a point where you had a conversion experience? Because Jesus this says God doesn't have any grandkids. In other words, your father could be a very dedicated Christian. That doesn't get you in. You've got to have your own experience with God, one-on-one. So I'd like to open that door up for you in the future.
Well,
you're a good speaker at that church. I enjoyed your speech.
Well, and I think to give context to what Rhett's talking about, in my church, one of the hats I wear is I'm serve on the stewardship committee. And that day they wanted me to speak as vice chair
about tithing and stuff.
Yes, that's what that was about. So that was about the importance.
That's a great subject.
That was that was about the importance of Christian stewardship. Again, it's not like it was a raising fund speech. It was really that my pastor asked me to speak about why it's important. So I shared about again the work of us is to, as our church really is to steward not only what we can do in our community and First Baptist, but also the wider world. So that's what was the nexus of that speech. I compared, two societies, the Tower of Babel versus, the city on the hill. I think that's a very good way. And I think about that on a lot of topics, not just on Christianity. I will share, though, very important takeaway. We talked about different political topics today, particularly national politics, but none of the positions I currently occupy are political. And I want to make that clear. Taxpayer Association is nonpartisan. And the Economic Development Council, again, our job is to advise and recommend good policy that the commission adopts for everyone in Indian River County. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. or an independent. I want you to have a great life here. I want you and your family to succeed here. So
and we should all want that, actually.
Bingo.
But do you see yourself as a politician in the future, or you're just being a good citizen?
Of those two, the second. I mean, you
want to be a good citizen.
Well, I'll admit, look, there's certain detractors here and there, and there's a small circle in the community, and they're like, well, they'll say, well, you're a politician, and I kind of chuckle because the amount of time I think about politics is far less than people probably would imagine. Because all this is
you seem so learned about so many things that are going on.
Well, but here I'll tell you what I like. If I have a responsibility in any part of my life, it's incumbent on me to make good decisions. Yeah. So whether it's Taxpayer Association, whether it's these other boards I have the privilege of serving on, these are not fun fests. These are serious things. We have to make good decisions. All this comes out of the fact that I'm a citizen. I want to make sure that this country is exceptional. If that makes me a
Yeah,
politician,
but it's citizens like you.
well,
Their second president was a farmer.
exactly. Well, and I should share this. If that makes me a politician, so be it. I don't care what people call me. I'm Lance. People know
Well,
who
it
I
is a
am, and that's what
pejorative
matters.
term. There's no doubt about it. I don't ever.
Oh, of course.
I would never want to be called a politician.
Oh no, neither do I. But Brett,
Yeah.
here's the thing I want to point out. What a lot of people do when they go wrong is they get obsessed with what other people say about them. I see this so often. Great people are corroded by it. My point is, I don't care what people think about me. I'm Lance. I know why I'm doing this, and that's
and who
important.
gave you that solid foundation? Your dad.
Absolutely. Well,
Your mom and dad.
it's all encompassed, right? I mean, my parents would say it's me. I would say it's them. It's all of us. They raised me a certain way. I've grown up. I've approached the world through the lens of the values that they gave me.
Sounds
It's
like
all this
really
encompassing.
good parentage. God bless your parents.
Oh,
My
please,
mom told
absolutely.
me when I got into this business 31 years ago,
Yeah.
she says, you better have thick skin because you're going to need it. And I'm so naive and
Listen.
silly.
I got an Italian mother. Oh, she hates that I have to deal with politics at certain points, and understandably so, because she's a sane, good person who understands how the world works. So of course she would. Look, politics is what we make of it, though. I mean, we could. The one thing I will share is it's what we make of it. If you have a community that's really grounded in good values, then politics is all the people in the community getting together, leading things and doing good things. The problem is politics is the pejorative, is what we see happen in D.C. or sometimes Tallahassee, where these people just get on a
Because
high
when
horse.
I see you, I go, is this guy going to be a governor someday or something?
Well, and I appreciate that because I get
I
that.
bet you I'm not the only one.
Well, and you're not wrong. I hear that, and it's typically from a perspective of, and I'm so grateful because people will say that and they mean it in the kindest way. They mean it like, oh, you really can make a difference. But again, the key is you have to know why you're doing what you're doing, and you can either not get too big or too little of a head. You have to, on one hand, not get too arrogant, but you also can't be intimidated by what the crowd thinks about you.
I think you almost have to be nuts to run for the presidency.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, what ego it takes. And they all seem to be highly sexed and very egotistical and da-da-da. But at the same time, they have a brilliance. I mean, there's no doubt you could look at negative things about Bill Clinton. But Bill Clinton's a genius.
That's really in my...
Trump is a genius.
I really think that's a result of, and when I say media, I don't mean anyone specific. I think it's a result of
What? What's the
optics. Because think of it. I mean, think of the first 10 presidents. These are people who were much more workhorses than show horses. They didn't care. I mean, well,
They're farmers.
you could argue Jackson cared about his image, but let's assume he didn't. Most of the early presidents, they wanted to accomplish things. They wanted to make...
President? You're talking about the third president?
No, Andrew Jackson.
Oh, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
What number was he?
Oh gosh, 1, 2, 3. I couldn't.
Doesn't matter.
He in the 19th.
I'm thinking Jefferson. I'm thinking of the J. Jefferson.
Regardless of the number, he's in the 1830s, right? So you can I'm not trying to criticize Jackson. My point is, and actually, I'm still, compared to today's standard, he's certainly a great president. The challenge is a lot of those folks just didn't care about showboating, and back in they wanted to make sure that this new country that they had helped found would actually thrive and would be a land of opportunity for the people who live there. That's what I want to see happen, and that's what I try to foster in whatever realm I'm able to foster that in.
Favorite 3 books?
Ooh, of all time, Wealth of Nations. Not because it is the Bible of capitalism, but that's not why I like it. It's a great way of understanding how folks in that period in the 1700s viewed history, because in order to make his arguments, he uses a lot of historical references. So today we'll all read about history, but it's really cool to see how a historical book was written years ago. So again, Wealth of Nations, a lot of great lessons, really the foundation of all modern economics, but I like it for that other reason. I really like Paradise Lost because I think it's probably by John Milton. I really think that's a story that gives you a sense to a biblical proportion about the real battle that is around all of us. You know, we all think that our work, our lives, our jobs are sort of the battle, but life is really a battle between the temptation of betraying God or the pursuit of glory in his name. Not to get too spiritual, but I say that because that's really... And then the other thing with Paradise Lost is really interesting is what John Milton does. It's fascinating. The protagonist of that story is Lucifer, right? And John Milton's a devout Christian. He's not trying to glorify Lucifer, but it's a great point if you think of it, because so often in life we think that the highest good is being the hero. We want to be the hero. The highest good is following God. And we forget that because, and I love what Paradise, because there's a subtle message there that you can be the protagonist but you don't want to be that kind of protagonist, right? So I love that message. I love the subtlety of that message in Paradise Lost, and then a lot of
The
books.
greatness and simplicity.
Yes.
In other
yes,
words,
yes.
you may think because you became president of the United States, you've got some great golden crown.
Bingo. Yep.
And there might be little Mr. Schwartz in town here who goes and visits prisoners in prison, or
Right.
cooks some food for some hungry people.
Well, or vice versa. Because I look at it this way: it doesn't matter. The goal in life should not be to be the hero with glory. And look, we all fall temptation to that. The goal in life is to achieve glory in God's name.
Yeah.
And that's how I view that. So that's Paradise Lost. But then the third, there's three I'm choosing from.
Did you ever read A Land Remembered?
Great book, but I'm not going to pick that one. A great book. It's a great book, and it should
About
be
Florida.
It should be taught in every Florida classroom. Frankly, that should be required reading. Actually, Adams Ranch, I believe, was the inspiration right down in North Fort Pierce. I could be wrong on that, but I think that was one of the
I
inspirations.
interviewed
for
the
it.
author a couple times
Yeah.
before he died.
It's a great book. Homo Deus, or which is a book about what
Amadeus?
Homo Deus.
Okay, what's Homo Deus?
So Homo Deus is a book by an author called Yuval Noah Harari. It's a very gritty, but I think good warning about what the future could hold.
Is it a novel or is it nonfiction?
Nonfiction. It's nonfiction. It's a prediction based off of where the world seems to be heading. But I think it's quite interesting. And I'm going to tie that with Peter Diamandis's Bold. This book that probably not many people have heard of. It wasn't that famous, but he wrote a book, and I loved it because back in the 2010s, he had interviewed Elon Musk, Larry Page,
Wow.
and all these great people who at the time were very successful but were not famous. They were at that level of success where they were billionaires, they were successful, but no one knew who they were. So it's fascinating to just see what they think about how to achieve success before the whole wide world knew about them, which I think is really funny. So, and I read the book in high school, so I think those are probably
Say the
my
name
top
again.
three. Bold. It's just called Bold.
Bold. Okay.
So I love that.
Well, listen.
Thank you, Rhett. I appreciate the time, my friend.
Yeah, it's always
Thank
fun
you.
talking to you. You're
Hopefully.
stimulating, inspiring, and I don't know. If
Not
you have,
at all.
I don't know if you have a website yet. Of course, this goes on Facebook, blah blah
Sure,
blah.
sure,
It goes
sure,
on the internet, and it'll be on our podcast,
Yeah,
the Red
absolutely.
Palmer podcast. But if you wanted a copy to place on a website
Sure.
or put it somewhere,
Sure. I mean, and I'll just say that the best thing I would share is probably the Taxpayers Association website. So it's www.taxpayers.
but would you be allowed to put that up there on there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's our website. It's public.
Because I think the
We
more people,
we serve the public.
it's like taking a black and white website and adding color.
Yeah.
When you add something that's audible
Yeah.
or visual, that we have both, whichever one you want, MP3 or an MP4, but then they get to know you better.
Oh, well, this is not a personal website. This is the organization's website.
Yeah.
But anyone wants to learn more about what we do,
They
and
want to know more about their president.
well, in that case, I mean, I try not to put too much out. I mean, I have, of course, a LinkedIn page and all that, but I'd rather put the association, because that's just, again, it's about what we do. I'm just one person. I'm just the chairman. I have a great team, and again, the whole organization deserves the credit.
So who's going to be president in 3 years?
You mean U.S. or you mean my
US.
association? Ooh, thanks. Easy question.
I don't think Trump can run again. Maybe they can
No,
squeeze him through.
that's not.
I don't think that
that's
can
nonsensical. He's not. He can't run again. I mean, I don't think we should.
Did they pull that out of that?
I don't even think we should dignify that. I mean, and
No, I know.
and by the way, I'm supportive of a lot of what's happening nationally. I'm critical of other stuff, but I think again, I think the spirit of our conversation is more supportive of what he's trying to do than against. So no, you can't serve a third term by the Constitution. It's not a matter of whether you like someone or not.
So it would be J.D. Vance, or who's the other guy, the Secretary of State?
Well, JD is, in my view, because of being vice president, he is positioned well among the fundraisers. I mean, that's the reason why the VP usually does it.
Yeah.
I would say probably him on our side, and my prediction is that Newsom's going to be the Democratic nominee. I think he's probably going to be who they put
God,
forward.
help us.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, it's now, the challenge is really, I think it'll probably be Newsom. That's what I would imagine.
I hope not. But
Democrat ticket. I'm not suggesting who will win. We're 3 years out. No one can tell by now. Anyone who says
if he
is lying.
wins, I'm going to move to Italy. Everybody's moving to Italy.
A lot of people will certainly be considering that. For sure. I'll say this. I have a. Well, I'll put it to you this way. I look at it like, people who want to move, when the people said when Trump won, they're going to move, and people when Biden. I think that's, again, that's a testament to our society putting more faith in the presidency than the Constitution. I put faith in our Constitution. We can have a bad president here and there, but the Constitution is what what binds all of us and makes me have faith in the system no matter who's president.
Thank God for those brilliant men.
Exactly.
Who wrote our Constitution.
Now, I have preference on who would be president, but again, the Constitution is really where I put my faith in as an American.
Lance Lunceford, great to see you.
Pleasure.
Hopefully, I'll come to one of your luncheons soon with the
Absolutely.
taxpayers. It's the first Friday of every month, and it's no longer at the golf club. It's over here at the yacht club.
Currently at the Vero Beach Yacht Club, yes.
You need to make reservations in advance.
We prefer it, but here's what you do. You send us an email at taxpayers.tpa@gmail.com if you're going to pay in person. If you're going to pay online on our credit card, our website, taxpayersirc.org, is where you can RSVP and pay if you're paying online. And first Friday every month, the next luncheon is going to be Leslie Swan, March 6th. So
I love Leslie Swan. Yep. All right, Lance Lunceford, thank you, sir.